Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. And if you're not, thanks for returning. I appreciate it. Last time in our journey through Elvis's career in 1969, we looked at the filming of his final scripted movie, Change of Habit. This time we move into the very late part of July and August 1969 and his triumphant return to the live stage. In this part, I'm going to look at some of the books that cover that period, and then next time I'll look at some of the CDs, LPs, what have you, that feature the recordings from those performances. So, without further ado, let's have a look at our first volume. Now, this is the fabulous Elvis Vegas 69 by Ken Sharp. This is a great go-to book on the shows in August 69 at the International. This has been featured on a number of Elvis channels. I know that Mark's Elvis for Everyone's channel, Mark did a quite in-depth look at this, so that's definitely worth checking out. Ken Sharp, the author, also wrote a book called Writing for the King on the FTD label. That's a really fascinating look at the songwriters that produced material for Elvis to record. And there's a good in-depth review of that on David's Elvis Presley in Japan channel. And I think the EAP boys have... EAP Society boys have had a look at that one as well. But yeah, Ken Sharp, great author. Up until recently, this was still relatively easy to get hold of, but I've noticed it's become a little bit scarcer now. So I think maybe the stocks that have been lying around have unfortunately now dried up. So it is a little bit harder to get hold of. But let's have a look what we've got to offer. As I say, this has been featured on other channels, so I probably won't look at this particular one as in-depth as some of the others, because as you know, I do try to show things that are a little bit scarcer or haven't been featured as much if I possibly can. So you get a little bit of background. It's obviously talking about the disappointments of Hollywood and how it was all beginning to come to an end in terms of box office success. A little bit on the NBC TV special, a little bit of background of the lead up. There's more on the special, and then we get a little bit of backstory about the International Hotel and how it was built, who built it, etc., etc. And that is the owner, Kirk Kerkorian. A little bit of the history and bits and pieces. There's the press signing of the contract that was held in June, if I remember rightly. I mean, I've only talked about that 3 or 4 times, so you'd think I'd know by now, wouldn't you? Oh yes, and then there's the piece. So as probably most of you might well be aware, Barbra Streisand, the International wanted Elvis to be the opening act, but Parker was a little bit wily where it came to understanding that a brand new hotel that had just been built would probably have all sorts of teething problems where it came to sound and equipment and what have you. So he said, no, we'll go second, let Streisand perform first. And she did, and apparently there were problems, so he was proved right there. There's the Sweet Inspirations, back to Elvis and that return, first engagement, and for the rest of his live career. The Imperials. And we get some rehearsals from shots from the rehearsals for That's the Way It Is. A bit surprised to see that in there, but there we go. Right, and then we get to the meat of the matter. 69 International comeback, a bit more background and flavour. The way this book is laid out, it's just filled out with quotes and interviews with all the people around, so you get their perspective on every aspect. So it's like a sort of collage, first person collage of all the people that witnessed it and were involved. So it's one of those books that it's not heavy reading, because you can pick it up and put it down, because you can just pick your way through the quotes. So there's a souvenir stand, 71. I guess it's showing you what a souvenir stand would look like. Maybe there was no, I don't even know if there were souvenirs in 69 actually. I guess there would have been some, but probably the promotional machine hadn't rolled out to the effect that it would in the ensuing years. There's the menu that the diners were given to put on their tables, or was on their tables, and obviously most of them took them home as they were entitled to, and they that particular menu now fetches pretty hefty sums. Anywhere, I've seen it go anywhere sort of £600-700 upwards for a nice copy. Opening night, and then you just get all the great live photographs from that period. That he looks fantastic in every single one. Superb, absolutely superb. Who printed this? Jet Fighter publication. Can't say I've heard of them before or since. $50 was its original asking price, but there was a while, as I say, I think someone had found some new old stock somewhere, because you could pick this up for the sort of between £30 and £40 for quite a while on eBay. In fact, I think I did, because my original copy of this, when I sold my collection second time round, I think I sold this on eBay and then ended up buying it back again, as you do. And then we go into the press conference that was held after opening night, I believe, memory serves correct. Absolutely fantastic little book. Great document of a great season. So yeah, Vegas 69, Ken Sharp. If you haven't got it and you want to track down a copy, I'd recommend it. It's a great one. Then we go, this one's a little bit older. This is a Joe Tunzi publication, Elvis 69, The Return. It is all in black and white. Inevitably covers much of the same ground. If it's a book of Elvis's return to live performance in 69, you're going to be covering the same ground. But it's a little like I said when I did the piece on the releases, the CDs, LPs, what have you. To me, can't get enough of Elvis in 69. This can still be picked up from time to time on eBay. Shouldn't cost you a fortune. Cracking little document of a fantastic time in Elvis's career. You can see that, from the photographs, he was a lot sort of more frenetic around this time. You can hear it in the recordings. He clearly was nervous, and in some of the shows you can hear it takes him a while to actually warm up and get into gear, because he's obviously taken to the stage a bundle of nerves, which I always think's really endearing for somebody that had already had, such a huge career, so many successful records, so many successful movies, and yet, there he was, still unsure of himself, still so with a point to prove. And as we know, he proved it in style. Yeah, this is a nice little record. As I say, you can pick it up if you wish to. Yeah, Elvis 69, The Return, Joe Tunzi. This one comes recommended as well. They're all 69 books. They're all going to come recommended. Now then, this one. This is a Eric Lawrenson publication, KJ Consulting. And this is a photo folio. And it just covers the opening night on July the 31st, 1969. That is the remit of this book, dedicated to the opening night. And packed with photo after photo after photo. I always wonder with something like this, you know, it's Elvis, it's 69, unless they got hold of the original negatives from the photographer, or the negatives were dated. I'm not entirely sure how anyone knows that these are all the opening night. I mean, he's clearly, by the look, he could have the dark navy two-piece on, or it could be the black two-piece. Hard to tell from the, impossible to tell from the black and white photographs. But how do they know? Does anyone know? Let me know in the comments if you know how they would date. Unless, I mean, if they did have the original negatives, but as some of these have been reproduced in various places over the years, it seems unlikely to me that anyone would come across a whole bunch of the original negatives dated from the photographer. But I could be completely wrong. I'm not sure. But yeah, if every single picture in here is from that opening night, wow. You know, what an incredible record to put a whole book together just with photographs of that. And there are a lot of images in here that's certainly new to me when I first got hold of it. Absolutely spectacular. I mentioned when I did the Houston Astrodome video that I felt it's a shame that people's perception of Elvis live is the guy in the white jumpsuit, because if this was everyone's perception of Elvis, it'd be a whole different ball game, wouldn't it? People do not think of Elvis live there in a black outfit, looking incredibly fit, incredibly healthy, and just incredible. There we go. That's the opening night photo folio from Eric Lawrenson. This can still be had new. I believe it's probably £50-60 mark, somewhere like that. Well worth an investment if you love that period of Elvis's career. Now we're going to come to another Lawrenson volume. Now this is one of those that hardly ever comes up. I'm not sure if when it was first published, it was published in smaller numbers than some of KJ Consulting's other volumes, but this particular one, you don't see it very often at all. I was lucky, I managed to snaffle this when it popped up on eBay, and I got a brand new sealed copy. I think you've probably got a fair idea of what you're going to be seeing, but definitely worth sharing, because as I say, I don't think that many people will have seen this one, relatively speaking. Let me just check. 2019, so yes, it was an anniversary issue. I'm not going to show you every single page, but I'll try and show you as much as I can. As you'd expect, you get a bit of an introduction. There's the same photograph of Kerkorian. the shots of Elvis and his sort of staged contract signing. Can never have enough of those because he looks cool as a cucumber. It's interesting how high his hair was there, because he definitely didn't keep it like that by the time he arrived in Vegas, although obviously most of the time you see it's fallen down because he's been moving around and sweating so much. But even when you see him first taken really early on in those concerts, his hair wasn't quite as high, so I suspect he'd had a bit of a trim beforehand. Then we pop to, by the look of it, Hawaii. So he's gone on vacation to get himself a bit of a tan. By the look of it, this was May the 4th to the 18th, 1969. So obviously popped for a bit of rest and relaxation and make sure he'd look as great as he possibly could. Not sure why that photograph's in there, because that, to my knowledge, is not 1969. Could be wrong. Maybe I am. Yeah, there's another one. I guess I am. As regular viewers to my channel, I know every now and again I do slip into talking guff. Occupational hazard with me, I'm afraid. So yeah, I would say that's fairly safe to assume that is 69. What do we get to? Oh, then we get a piece on Barbra Streisand. I'm not entirely sure if that was taken when she opened at the International. And those backstage shots, apparently that is Elvis backstage at Streisand's show. Yes, that's right, because I think there's some photographs taken Elvis and Priscilla at a table at those shows. He's got a rather nice brown one-button jacket and suit going on there. And no shirt, because it's Elvis. He didn't have to have a shirt. He didn't need a shirt. Right, more shots from there we go. That's what I was talking about. At the table, at the Streisand show. That must be, I guess, the Streisand show, and you'll see the menu there is identical to the menu for the Elvis engagement, but then of course it's got Streisand's face and the cutout and not Elvis. But yeah, no expense spent there. Right then, here we go. Article here by Gordon Minto, the ever reliable Gordon Minto. So you get some great reading material in this as well. Not a bedtime read though, not unless you've got a block and tackle to lift it up with, because it's a weighty volume. We are jumping around a little bit because we're getting the press conference, then we're getting some live shots, but hey ho. White two-piece. Great stuff. Just the action shots, absolutely phenomenal. Look at that. I'm guessing you're hearing a lot of squeaking as I'm trying to move this book around. I apologise for that. There's not a lot I can do to avoid it, unfortunately. Probably wouldn't have squeaked so much if I kept the dust jacket on, but hey ho. Sweet Inspirations, all live. It's a very familiar shot. In fact, you'll see that in the next episode on the cover of one of the best bootlegs from the season. That one's been used in a lot of official releases. What we got? Elvis looked devastatingly handsome that night. Elvis may have been frightened, but Colonel Parker was in his element as he began promoting Elvis all over Las Vegas. He rented every available billboard and took out full-page ads in the local and trade papers. He filled the lobby of the International with Elvis Presley souvenirs. Obviously, there were souvenir stands right from the beginning. T-shirts, straw boaters, records and stuffed animals. The Colonel made sure that Elvis's return to the stage would be the show business event of the year. Kirk Kerkorian, then owner of the International Hotel, planned to send his own plane to New York in order to fly in the rock press for opening night. I wonder if that happened. Packed, absolutely packed full of just fabulousness. You cannot go wrong. Any single Elvis book from this that features this season is just going to be an absolute joy, a treat, and this is no exception. Guess what? A bigger volume like this, the luxury of that is you're able to get the photographs in bigger scale. You can fit, you know, one per page, whereas the smaller ones have to fit a few more per page to be able to fit it all in. But right, I'm going to flick forward a little bit because I'm starting to sag a bit. This really is a hefty one. We do have some interesting. There's the menu in more detail, so you can see it's only the picture just goes through a little cutout at the front. I just saw an interesting. It's like a candid, like a audience photograph there. That's new to my eyes. Then we've got the press conference. Obviously, Elvis looks great in the press conference, but a lot of these are quite familiar photographs, I'd say. We've seen a lot of these before. I think it gives you a complete transcript of the conference itself, which I think a lot of these books do, actually. So yeah, press conference, lots and lots of pages on the press conference. Because obviously the old press photographers were clicking away 9 to the dozen, capturing everything they could. Let's see what we get. Press conference, some really nice, relaxed, candid. I think we finish with a few more shots of the opening. A few more candids, what's that say? August 1969, backstage with fans. Love an Elvis candid. There's some really good books just dedicated to candids that I will do some episodes on in the future. And yet we finish with some more of those staggeringly wonderful live shots. So yeah, an absolute stonker, this book. Well worth picking up if you ever get the chance. I mean, it weighs in at no less than 400 pages. Yeah. Super highly recommended, this one. Cracker. I say cracker a lot, don't I? Because they are. And this one is, I think, even rarer to get hold of, or harder to get hold of than that one. Although you can still get, if you hunt around, you can still find this on some European Elvis dealer sites. So this is Elvis, Showroom International, the new leader in Las Vegas. Comes in a really nice, thick slipcase. And then there's your book. And this was New Frontier Publishing. And I'm not entirely certain what the relationship was, but I do know that this had some connection with Joe Esposito, Memphis Mafia member, and I think Elvis, what was his title? Elvis's tour manager? That was the title. Because along with it came a photograph of Joe, signed by him, TCB Joey. So that was nice, and it's on the New Frontier Publishing. You get the nice picture of the International there. So yeah, that was a nice little edition. He definitely had some connection with this, but I'm not entirely sure what it was. But yeah, this in many ways reminds me of the Ken Sharp Vegas 69 book in the way it's put together, but it's another cracking, here we go again, he's calling it cracking again. Another fantastic volume that Sean highly recommends. Yeah, really nicely laid out. You get the, I should expect, the sign in at the beginning. Probably there's a little less preamble in this with the lead up pre-1969. We kind of dive straight in. But yeah, I really like the way they've laid this one out with all the various bits and pieces. So yeah, as I say, if you look hard enough, you should be able to track this one down. You should be able to track it down, I think, for somewhere around the 130, 140 pound mark to import it from some of the European Elvis dealers. But because, although I really like this book, I think it's really lovely and well put together, I'm not going to show too many because, as I say, you can still get this new if you fancy it. And as I've said before, I don't like the idea of sort of spoiling someone's first look at something so lovely to own. Quite hefty on the old press conference, as most of them are, because I think realistically there's probably more photographs from the press conference than there are actual shots of the dates themselves. But yeah, brilliant book. Great addition to anyone's collection. So if you can and you fancy it, track it down. I'd highly recommend that you do. Brilliant stuff. Okay, there we go. Those are my books covering the return to Vegas in 1969. I hope that was enjoyable. And if you did enjoy it, I'd appreciate it if you clicked on the like button. And if you want to see more from me in the future, maybe click on the subscribe. It doesn't cost anything and there's no commitment. I upload new content every Sunday at 6 PM GMT, so you'll always know when to find me. In the next episode, I'll look at some of the recordings and releases around the return to Vegas. Till then, take care. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. God bless you. Adios.